All right, you guys, welcome back to another call. Super excited to have you here. We are going to talk through our normal announcements first. I have a number of those to go through with you, and then we'll hop into the actual call topic tonight. I believe we have some new names in here, so I'm super excited to have you. If you are new here, we're super laid back. We like to have fun, tell jokes, like laugh a lot. I do give as much education as I can. Obviously, you guys, my education only goes as far as my personal experience and the things that I have read and researched, what my certifications cover, but that does not mean that it takes the place of what your physicians say. If you feel like you need to talk to a doctor, please do so. I am not here trying to override what your doctors say. Okay, so just wanted to throw that in there as well for anyone that's new, but feel free to have your camera on, camera off, put things in the chat, ask questions, whatever you need, and I will help you throughout. All the assessments are complete for the week, so if you turned one in, please check your messages. Those have been all replied to. A couple of takeaways. I have a couple special case takeaways that I'm running into with people, and then like an overall takeaway from assessments for the week. So special case, and this is going to be helpful whether you're working with me in the app or if you're just listening to this on the podcast or to wherever you're hearing this. So special case takeaways. If you have PCOS, endometriosis, insulin resistance, pre-diabetes, or if you do struggle with, type 2 diabetes, we will probably want to go ahead and look at lowering your carbohydrates and increasing your fats while keeping your protein numbers where they're at about that 1 gram per pound of ideal or goal body weight. Reason being is your body and the conditions that you struggle with, you are not typically going to be able to utilize carbohydrates as appropriately as you're supposed to. And so if you're struggling with, always carrying extra weight in your middle, or you're always tired, or you're working out and following the plan, but you're just not getting anywhere and you just can't seem to make any changes, we may want to look at some of those situations where we can alter those carbohydrates down to about 100 grams per day, and your fats will go up instead. So your total calories and protein will end up staying the same, but that's going to help your body utilize those carbohydrates more appropriately. In the cases of insulin resistance, it's going to help your body like retrain itself to utilize carbs more appropriately, and it won't be a forever thing. If you do struggle with PCOS or endometriosis, those are going to be the kinds of things where your carbs are probably going to have to be low for your lifestyle, right? It's going to have to be a thing that we do most of the time moving forward. Doesn't have to be absolutely forever, every single day, forever, but it is going to be something that kind of needs to be a part of your lifestyle so that you reduce the issues that come along and complications that come along from having a lot of processed carbohydrates. When talking about that 100 grams of carbs is still plenty to get a wide variety of fruits and vegetables in, which is what I would really, really want you guys really focusing on anyhow. I even see people have 100 grams of carbs working in things like sweet potatoes and beans. You can absolutely still work things like that in on that 100 grams per day. And those are all fiber rich, super nutrient dense carbohydrate options. And that's what we're going to want when you're switching to that style of plan. We're going to be reducing a lot of that excess processed stuff out, which is going to be beneficial for really anybody to do on any plan. So if you do struggle with PCOS, endometriosis, insulin resistance, pre-diabetes, any of that kind of stuff, and you've been struggling, feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to give you more specific suggestions of some changes that we can make and help it be a little bit easier of a transition for you. On the other side of the spectrum, there is an instance where we would want to lower fats and increase carbs and keeping protein and calories the same. That's going to be if you've had your gallbladder out in the last couple of years. Your body just is not set up to process and digest fats the same way that it used to until it adjusts to having that gallbladder out of your system. So we would need to be lowering your fats to about 40 or 50, depending on your gender, and then increasing your carbohydrates for their other part. So that's something to keep in mind. So if you have had your gallbladder removed moderately recently, let me know so we can set you up appropriately as well. As far as an overall takeaway, some things that I'm running into with people is, it felt like 80 today. I think I got some sun. It's amazing. So it happens. Jenna, don't give me that face. You've had 95. I don't want to hear it. California person. Okay. But meanwhile, we've got Ashley up here in like North Dakota or South Dakota. I can't remember ever which one. And she's been wearing like snow gear forever, but it's sunny today. But anyway, okay, you guys. So what happens when it gets nicer out? We want to go out. We want to have drinks on the patio. We want to have more alcohol. We want to just like feel free from the winter, right? And so I want to talk through alcohol a little bit. I can do a full on call on alcohol at some point. I think that'd be helpful for everybody to understand it. But I do want you guys to have this main takeaway is yes, when you're drinking alcohol, it still adds up in calories. Just because there's not a nutrition label on most alcohols, there are still a lot of calories in there. It's going to be adding up. It is technically another macronutrient all in a case by itself. So if you are tracking food, I want you understanding that you're going to add in that alcohol, whether it's a light beer, a martini, a margarita, a shot, whatever it is that's your fancy, okay? Add it in and it's going to add up in calories, but it's probably not going to take away from your carbs and fats. But what I want you aiming for on those days is protein and total calories, because it's going to add up into the calories. It's just not going to take away on the carb and fat macros for the way that it's set up in the nutrition system. So I know that's a little bit confusing, but if you are having drinks, please enter them as appropriately as you can so you can just learn. So you can learn how these things add up, how quickly they add up. So keeping that in mind. Now, how does alcohol actually metabolize in your system? Just a quick overview. Your body looks at alcohol as like go-go juice, right? That's why when we're drinking and it's the middle of winter, we actually feel hotter. You can go outside when it's, 25 degrees and be like, yeah, I feel great. Like, I feel like I'm sweating right now. It's because your body's metabolizing alcohol in a hot snap. Okay. So your body prioritizes burning up alcohol faster so that way it gets the toxin out of your system faster, because technically it's a toxin. Now, we're not going to go into like all of the breakdown processes, but what I also want you to understand is that your body is going to store other types of foods that you're taking in almost automatically as body fat and future energy storage. So if you're having alcoholic drinks on the regular, and what do we usually have when we're drinking alcohol? Pizza, wings, pretzels, disgusting nuts that have been sitting on the countertop of the bar for the last 3 weeks and have been touched by God knows how many people, right? Like all these things, we eat all the junk when we're drinking because we have low inhibitions. We don't care anymore about our nutrition plan. We're having a great time. We are the life of the party. And if this is me, it's one beer in because I can't drink anymore. But to be totally straightforward with you, that's why we need to be making sure that if we are having drinks, we're taking in plenty of water alongside of them and we're making as clean of food choices as possible. Your body's going to struggle to turn vegetables and lean proteins into body fat, even if you are having drinks alongside of it. So really making sure you're making those mindful choices with good quality foods if you're going to be taking in alcohol as well, to make sure that you're setting yourself up for, handling the night appropriately and not ruining success kind of thing, especially if you do like to have a couple of drinks throughout the week. So I don't have any shame on that. I have no issues with you all doing that as long as you drink appropriately, right? This is not a push to have drinks, to not have drinks, do what you do. But just understand that how it metabolizes in your body differently is going to affect your progress overall. And the foods that you have alongside of it are going to affect your progress as well. So those are the big takeaways this week as things are warming up and getting nicer. And that is just super helpful to understand when you're doing alcohol stuff. If you have questions on that, get confused, just let me know. A couple other announcements. The first Invest trip is coming May 19th to 21st. It's so exciting. It's like 2.5 weeks away. I can't wait. So I'm going to meet some of my people that I haven't met before. And I am so excited, but that's going to be one of our things coming up. And I wanted to talk about quick what the Invest in Yourself coaching is and how to be a part of it. If you want to earn trips to come out here and hang out as well, where I spoil you for a weekend and we do random things together. So upcoming topics, for one, we do educational topics every week where I give you a task that is applicable to life and I educate you on why that task is going to be helpful. We do it about nutrition, movement, lifestyle, mentality, emotional health, everything. We cover all the bases. And so the ones that are upcoming is Hope Molecules and how to actually maximize those. Those are an actual thing. After that, it's fight or flight, talking about caffeine. Then we're going to be talking about overcoming guilt. So that's going to be the remaining 3 topics for this month. So it's really, really fun. And if you want to be a part of that, it's $105 a month, but you get a $100 First Form gift card with it. And then all of the perks come along with it as well. So you basically get your investment back immediately upon purchase. So pretty awesome situation. Also available on the website if you guys want to check it out. Another thing for an announcement, group awards will be earned at the end of this month. So I wanted to touch on this. There's going to be 3 awards handed out every single month to people in the group that are really showing up. Some of them are, just recognition awards, which is always great, right? It's going to be, you're being recognized for being the person that's absolutely amazing. Other ones come with a small award that you would get to utilize if you so choose. And I will give more information on that once we are announcing them. But basically what you want to do if you want to earn some of these awards is to be active and supportive within the group, right? Like be there, comment on people's things if they make a post, or make a post yourself. Whatever it is, maybe it's a recipe or a motivational quote, maybe it's a post-workout picture, maybe it's, you staying on track while you're at a restaurant, whatever this looks like for you, doing a hard workout, and, people comment back and forth on each other. It's just a really supportive situation. So be active in there. Post more and interact more. Use our hashtag Nikki's Fit Fam on posts for Instagram. And that's Nikki's and then fit, FIT, and then fam is PHAM. If you need me to send you that, I can, but it's always helpful to use our hashtag so we can go search out each other and help support each other. And then tag me in your posts on Facebook and on Instagram. That just helps a lot as well to keep on growing our community and just showing each other how we show up. The more positive atmospheres we can have out in social media, the better, because there's way too much negativity in this world. So let's make that a little bit brighter. That sounds great. And then keeping our core values in mind for the day-to-day life, right? So there's going to be a core value award winner in itself. And our core values for our group are to be intentional, stay honest, strive for more, and find respect and discipline. These are the 4 things that we really, really push for, and things that I really, really work to help you see within yourselves as we move forward each day, as I get to know you, as I see you achieving goals or struggling. These are the kind of core values that I try to really push home for you guys. So really keeping those in mind each day, that's going to help you guys earn these different awards. So that's what those look like. Last couple of announcements is please follow, share, comment, posts, podcasts, YouTube videos, whatever you deem deserved. If I'm helping you in some way, please share about it. Tag me in it. That helps so much. Every time that you refer someone in, that's a huge, huge blessing. So if you find my information helpful, if you find my personality helpful, if you like our community, if you like the recipes, you like the workouts, you like whatever, share about it, talk about it. And that is the biggest compliment you can ever give me. And that's just super, super helpful. So for those of you that already do that, thank you a million times over. But now, as far as the topic tonight, we were talking about sleep. So poor sleep quality equals higher cortisol levels. Okay. So when does cortisol become an issue, and when is it a good thing? So cortisol is in our bodies, right? It's in there because it's supposed to be in there. It has a job. But when we have too much of anything, it could become a bad thing. So we need to keep that in mind. So when it's a good thing, cortisol, it's responsible for releasing cortisone in response to inflammation in order to help reduce pain and stiffness. So keep it you twist your ankle swells. There's cortisone getting released due to cortisol, and that is going to help prevent further injury from happening. That's how your body heals itself. Okay. So that is a good form of cortisol, a good form of your body using it appropriately. Cortisol is also released in reaction to workouts, which is when you want it, because it helps break down glucose a little bit faster, or glycogen in your body a little bit faster. And so when you are actually breaking down that glycogen a little bit faster in your body during a workout, that's giving you more surges of energy because you're getting more of that blood sugar rush. That's when you want it, because you're running away from a bear, right? That's what your body thinks. You are sprinting for your life. You're not sprinting on a treadmill, right? So that is why that is going to release in that atmosphere. Now, cortisol becomes an issue when it's elevated too high too consistently. That's going to be the kicker, when it's too high all the time and we never bring it back down. So optimal cortisol is actually high in the morning and then consistently drops through the day. So being its lowest while we are at rest and sleeping, and starting to increase again around that 2 a.m. time frame. So that's why it's really, really important to understand that, like right now we should be kind of like getting our minds ready to like wind down, after this call. It would be great for you guys to just shut off social media, to not look at your phones, not look at TVs, not look at laptops, because that is going to help reduce the blue light in your eyes, which we're going to go over here in a few minutes. But keeping that in mind, that cortisol, that stress is going to it goes up in the morning, peaks, and then it starts to drop back down. And then when it drops down, that's when we get sleepy time. Now, if you do not sleep, if you don't allow yourself to get quality sleep, then your cortisol is going to kind of stay high, right? And that's going to become an issue. So what happens when your cortisol stays high? Your metabolism starts to slow down. And we all know that we want metabolism to be higher, right? We want metabolism to be in high gear, not overly high gear, but in high gear, so that we can actually, burn off the body fat that we're trying to get rid of, maintain the muscle, and have that lean body that we've been after for so long, right? If you're after that body, then we need to control metabolism, which means we need to control cortisol, which means we need to control sleep and recovery. So cortisol literally will tell every single cell in your body that food is not readily available, and it will slow metabolism down for your whole body. So thinking that through, right? When metabolism when cortisol tells every single cell in your body to slow your row, right? We need to preserve life. That means that your metabolism is now shot in the foot, and you are still not sleeping well, and it's just going through this hellacious cycle over and over again. And when that happens, your metabolism keeps on getting slower and slower and slower and slower, then you run into that really frustrating plateau, which really could be solved purely by getting better sleep quality. Okay, so this means that it is signaling to the body to preserve and eventually gain body fat. It's going to start signaling to gain body fat in order to preserve life. Great, right? Your body thinks that it's saving you from the terrors of the world because it, is scared, and you're going to have to survive because it's famine out. Meanwhile, you are, eating Doritos on your couch at midnight, right? And that's not the problem, right? So it's the fact that you're still awake at midnight. Okay, so now insulin resistance. How does this become an issue? A lot of people have heard about IR lately. It's on commercials all the time. My daughter looks at me every time there's a weight loss commercial on, because she knows that I'm a coach. She goes, "Mom, would that be helpful for your clients?" I said, "No, that is not going to be helpful for my clients. They don't need a medication. They need to have a better lifestyle." So insulin resistance, what happens? What does that mean? Cortisol is a catabolic of muscle tissue, because muscle is a fast source of energy the body can break down. So because of that, it thinks its fuel is needed. So when you start to develop insulin resistance, cortisol is breaking down your muscle tissue in order to use it for energy sources, because it's a faster source of energy than body fat. Okay, does that make sense? How that works? Right? So instead of burning body fat for fuel, your body's holding on to the fat in order to preserve you longer, because you can survive longer with body fat and you don't need as much muscle. Okay, so that is how we start to lose the opposite of body composition that we want. That's how we get fluffier with lower body mass. That's really not what we're going for, right? So when you think about that, your amino acids are actually becoming a glucose or a sugar source, and that is going to spike your high blood glucose, adds more fat abdominally if it's not used during exercise, right? And when are we most stressed through the day? Probably not while you're exercising. It's probably when you're dealing with work stress, or your kids are driving you crazy, or your relationship is in the cahoots, right? Like sometimes, did I just use the word cahoots? I just used the word cahoots. But look at Jenna's face. I don't even know. I'm making up words over here. So with that, right? If you are experiencing all of these stressors, but you're not actually physically active, then your body's going to naturally store that excess energy that it's breaking down so quickly due to cortisol being high, and it's going to store it as body fat instead. That is not what you want. That is not what you want. So belly fat gain, because the body wants to keep the vital organs warm in case the survival becomes more difficult. So that is why, right, you're going to gain more body fat here in this trunk instead of like on your kneecaps, right? Your body is not worried about saving your kneecaps from being cold. Okay, God, I'm sweating here. Okay, so if you think about that, right? That's why we gain insulin resistance. A key thing for me to look at on you is if your limbs are pretty lean, normal looking, but then your body fat is all in your middle and in your trunk, you probably struggle with a little bit of insulin resistance. That's why taking pictures is so helpful for me, right? It's not for me to pick you apart and be like, oh my God, what are you doing over there? No, it's so I can help you more appropriately, you guys. So thinking about that, right? So we want to make sure that we are trying to work with your body and the conditions that you're dealing with, not trying to fight it, right? We're trying to work with it. So being honest about stuff, right? If we think we're struggling from insulin resistance, or you kind of, this sounds like you, reach out. Let's make sure that we have you set up on the right plan. Okay. I want to make sure that we get you there. So now, wanted to recover a couple things. Without quality sleep, which by the way, 7 to 9 hours is quality for most adults. That's what we're going for. Cortisol will likely stay higher and recovery and progress will remain at a standstill or a struggle. Right. So we should be aiming for that 7 to 9 hours. Now I know I've got all the agriculture people on here. You're like, it's calving season. My husband's getting home from the field at midnight. I need to eat dinners with him, or we're up at, 2 a.m. and 10 p.m. with crying kids. Like, I get it. I get it. Okay. It's not going to be perfect, but knowing that we need to really start aiming for more of that quality sleep is going to be imperative. So if we can set ourselves up for success when we can sleep, it's going to be better than not doing it at all. So a couple other things. Deep sleep is when the body rebuilds its body tissue or muscle tissue and repairs other cells, as well as expels cell waste. So if you're not getting deep sleep, your body's not going to be able to go through all those reset processes, those cleanup processes where it gets rid of all of the extra junk, the toxins, the buildups, all of the stuff, right? And it's not going to be able to repair itself and rebuild itself, all of the systems, not just your muscle tissue, but all the systems. And so then your body's going to really be at that standstill again because it can't really get past the damage we've already done. So then deep sleep is most often going to occur earlier in the hours of night. So sleeping later and sleeping in later in the morning is not going to be best either. So AKA, if you're the type of person that's like, well, I like to be up until midnight, I'm just going to sleep until 10 a.m. By the way, I don't know how people do this, but if it's you, that's cool. I'm glad you have that flexibility in life, but you're not getting yourself a whole lot of favors with that quality sleep, especially the deep sleep, because deep sleep is going to be most prevalent when your cortisol is lowest, which is in the first part of the night. Because remember, your cortisol starts to increase about 2 a.m. All right. So if you're going to bed at midnight, you're only giving yourself about 2 hours for that cortisol starts to technically start to increase for the average person. Right. So if we go to bed at like 9, like, hey, I like to be in bed at 8:45 if I can, which is before the sun goes down anymore. But if you're thinking about that, okay, then I'm giving myself an extra, 4 hours of deep sleep opportunity as compared to you, right? Because then I'm getting up, at 4 or 5, I am getting my 7 to 9, but it's in a different time frame and it's getting more of those deep sleep opportune hours, which means my body's going to be able to do all of its systems a lot more appropriately, right? It goes a lot with circadian rhythms and sunshine and like when the moon goes up and the sun goes up and all of that stuff. So keeping that stuff in mind is going to be really, really helpful. My last page of notes, then you guys can ask any questions. So if you have craving and appetite problems, it's going to be a direct correlation to sleep and quality of sleep most of the time. Okay, so if everything else is in line, you're doing your job, you're doing the great with nutrition, you are doing all of the things right, but your sleep is crap, you're probably going to struggle with wanting junk food cravings the next day. Or if it was within the last couple of days kind of thing, your body is tired, right? Think about this. I'm going to give you a stair step. Your body is tired. Your mind is tired. You can only take in so much coffee. It's not going to help anymore, right? We're on coffee number 12 and we're still tired. So obviously we have tapped out on the caffeine limiter. Now, your body wants a fast source of energy for perks, right? So fast forms of energy are going to be your carbohydrate sources because they digest faster than anything else. Now, your faster carbs that you're craving are probably going to be your ho-hos. They're going to be the candies that are in the dish in the front of the office. They're going to be the sodas. They're going to be the donuts that the nice person brought in that you asked not to give you any, but they're asking you to eat them anyway. These are the things that start setting you up for not disaster, but struggle. And what happens is you get these fast spikes of energy because you get these really simple carbs that have no nutrient density to them whatsoever. Sorry to break your heart, ho-hos, not going to give you a whole lot of food density, going to give you plenty of calories. So then we have our energy up to the roof, right? But what happens when we shoot up real fast? We drop down real fast too. So we hit an energy crash. All of a sudden we're like, oh, we're tired again. Better go back to the candy bowl or back to the break room and grab another donut. Oh, up again, right? And so all day you are just like spike and crash. And that's super, super hard on your body. And so that really starts to set you up for those insulin resistance issues, as well as many other issues too that come along with carrying a lot of body fat in your trunk, lots of heart disease stuff, everything like that can really be associated with that. And so we really, really, really need to start breaking that cycle. Really, if you struggle with this kind of stuff in your family and you struggle with these kinds of foods, if we can start having you pick higher density foods and sleeping normal, you're going to probably see a lot of progress really fast. Like seriously, you don't necessarily have to be on medications. Remember, I'm not your doctor, right? But our goal is to get you off of all of that stuff, right? We just want to live a normal, healthy life. Getting somebody off of a medication is absolutely a goal. That's a better goal than any scale could ever give us. Okay. Now, a few things to optimize sleep that you can do lifestyle wise. So caffeine cutoff by 2 p.m. is going to help a lot. Whether or not you can have a energy drink at 9 p.m. and go to bed at 9:02. I don't care if you can fall asleep. That's not quality sleep. The caffeine is still in your body. It's affecting your brain for hours after you drink it. So caffeine cutoff by 2 p.m. It's going to be really, really helpful. Blue light blockers, which is what these babies are, by about 5 or 6 p.m. If you are like, especially inside or looking at, tablets or screens or whatnot, if you're out in the natural sunlight, that's fine. You don't need to wear blue light blockers in front of the sun. That's okay. Your body can tell the difference. Your eyes can tell the difference between sunrises and sunsets, and that's all good. It's just when we're looking at screens, looking at phones, looking at computers, that kind of thing, that blue light blockers are going to be really helpful to prevent that blue light from coming in, because your mind thinks blue light is bright sunlight. So it's going to keep us up longer. Delays the onset of melatonin by 90 minutes. Whoa, right? It's going to delay the deep sleep opportunity by 90 minutes when you do look at your phone or screen right until you go to bed. Okay, so you're really shooting yourself in the foot. Just get these babies, right? You can get blue light blockers from Amazon for like $10. Okay. And it can help. It can help. And Rob thinks I look like a librarian, which I think is a good thing. So, maybe we can play that role. I don't know. You guys do what you do. It's cool. But other things you can do is a cool, dark room. Your body is naturally, wait until you get your headset, Mike. I can only imagine. So a cool, dark room, your body's going to naturally sleep better when it is cooler out. Nobody sleeps well when you wake up sweating. That's a super fun situation. Your heart's just beating out of your chest, your blankets everywhere, right? So cool, dark room is going to be optimal. No TVs on, y'all. If you like a fan, that's cool. But other than that, turn the dang TV off. Stop it, right? Bright lights, voices, commercials that are randomly loud. The random TV commercial that comes on trying to sell you like toothpaste at 2 a.m. Like, let's just knock it off. Okay. We don't need that stuff on. It's just disrupting your sleep. And then your last meal, this one is really helpful because it's something I didn't used to do either. If you can try and have your last meal, last liquids consumed, everything at least 2 hours before bed, gives your gut enough time to digest and kind of empty before you go to bed, because your microbiome, your gut is full of little bugs. Okay. Don't think of like mosquitoes, right? It's not those kinds of bugs, but your gut is full of bugs that are good bugs and bad bugs. There's like this homeostasis of them, and they want to sleep too, right? They want to sleep too. So if you're eating some big meal or taking in all these nutrients and then trying to lay down, your gut is laying there going, right, when you're trying to go to sleep and it's disrupting your sleep. So if you can actually finish eating, drinking all of your stuff about 2 hours before you lay down and go to bed, your gut's going to kind of be done with like that first digestion process and give you enough time to go to bed calmly. So that's a really big kicker that's been helpful for me. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is just a few supplements that do help with quality sleep that I utilize. So there's magnesium, which does a ton. It doesn't only help with sleep, it helps a ton with other things as well. It helps with digestion, helps with bone density, it helps reducing anxiety and depression. It can help with muscle cramps and relaxation, helps reduce muscle twitches, all kinds of amazing stuff. So heart health is a huge one for magnesium. So if you have any of those types of issues, magnesium is going to help you a ton, including quality sleep. And then the 3 nighttime technical supplements that we have are Core 21, Night Tea, and Master Brain PM. If you have a fat loss goal, I would go for Core 21. That one is going to have a digestive enzyme blend built into it. And that's going to actually help your gut just, extra digestive enzymes, break down and utilize the foods more appropriately that you do have in there overnight. Really, really great for that. Night Tea is going to be more for recovery based. So if you have a performance goal, if you're a runner training for a marathon, or if you have a sport that you are competing in, something like that, Night Tea is going to be your best friend. Master Brain PM is more for our people that are looking for more memory recall. They're looking for, maybe they're studying for big exams all the time. Maybe they're taking in a lot of information. Maybe they're managing a lot of big ticket items in their head. Master Brain PM is going to help you really with memory recall, REM sleep importance. Okay. So all of these though, those 3, they're not sleep aids. They are cortisol reducers. So they help reduce that cortisol that we were talking about earlier in the call, naturally. Okay. And what's cool about that is they're not going to knock you out, right? Like I already took Core 21 and I'm bubbly as ever right now, right? So I took Core 21 at like 6:30 and I will lay down and go to bed at about 9. And that's perfect, right? It doesn't knock you out, but when you choose to go to bed, it helps you fall asleep faster and stay there longer. So those are the kinds of things that I would recommend there. If you have any questions on those, want links for them to check them out, let me know. But my go-to is Core 21 magnesium together with OptiGreens, which is just amazing. But we are at the point, God, I talked longer than I expected to. Any questions, anything you guys want to unmute and ask, anything you want to put in the chat?
Is there an app or something? I know you on your Instagram, like what do you use to track your sleep and quality of sleep? Is that through your phone or what do you use?
Yeah, so I actually use the Whoop band. Okay, so that is this little guy. It's just a fabric band. It's not a watch or anything. It doesn't track steps. It tracks strain, it tracks sleep, and then it can also track like hormone cycles, so like your period and stuff, because that really makes a big effect on how much strain and how much sleep you should be focusing on at different parts of the month, which has all been really, really helpful for me because I used to struggle with all those things really, really bad. That's why I got the Whoop in the first place. So this guy just really, really helps me understand like, hey, you're pushing too hard for this time of the month or for today. Do a walk today instead of going for a run, or lower your weights, or do a stretch session instead of doing a lifting session, that kind of thing. If you're interested in it, shoot me a message and I can send you a link for it. I don't represent them or anything, but my link does cover you for a free month, I think, and then a free Whoop band too. So to get started. So if you guys want to look at that, just let me know. I can send you the link for it. Cool. Any other questions? Hopefully this was helpful tonight, you guys. All right. Well, if nobody has anything, I will let you all go. I hope that this was helpful. I hope you learned something new. This will be out on the podcast on Sunday. So if you got something out of it, you loved it, please do feel free to share this, put it on, your story, or share it to a friend that you think would be helpful for it. And I appreciate everything. I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you all later.